Hey everybody, this is the syllabus tour video for History 112 Online for the summer semester. So we are going to go through this together. This is going to touch on some of the more important parts of the syllabus. You will need to read the full thing, by yourself, but you guys can read and you're adults, so I'm not going to read every word to you, but we are going to touch on the more important aspects of the syllabus. Alright, so we are in World Civilizations 2, and there's no prerequisite for this course. You do not have to have had 111 to take 112. You can take them in whatever order you want. The last day to drop the course with a WD is July 2nd. After that, it will be a WF. My information, I'm Amanda Jewett-Zakanis, as you know. My office hours are by appointment simply because I have no office currently. So we can't just meet any old where and have a private conversation if that's what you're looking to do, which is why I need you to email me first. I've met with students every semester in person outside of class, and so it's very, very possible, and I'm happy to do it. I just need you to email me first, and then I can find a place for us to meet. We can get together, but I just don't have an office at the moment, which is why I do not have office hours. That's why it says by appointment there. And speaking of email, that is the best way to get in touch with me. I respond to emails within 24 hours, usually. It's less than that. I tend to check my email once in the morning and once in the evening. I have 2 small children, so I do not check my email late at night because I am sleeping. That's why it says if you send me an email late at night, I will most likely not reply until the next morning. I have a 2-year-old son who likes to get up at like 5:30 in the morning. I am not very good at getting up in the early morning, so I tend to try to go to bed a little bit earlier so that maybe I can be a little less angry about being awake so early. So I tend to check my email. The last time I check my email for the day is usually about 6 o'clock. Then we eat dinner, kids go to bed. I tend to go to bed a little bit early, so that is why if you send me an email late at night, you might not hear from me until the next morning. We introduce world history from the early modern era to the present. We'll talk about cultures of different places all over the world. So pretty exciting. We are 100% online, as you hopefully already know. Everything's going to be through Blackboard. We're going to have weekly assignments like discussion boards. You'll have assignments that are not so weekly, like papers and exams. So you got to check your email because I will send announcements that way, which will tell you at the beginning of the week, hey guys, welcome to week 2 or 5 or whatever. This is what we're doing this week, and then you'll get an email toward the end of the week that says, hey guys, remember that this is due this day, and this is due this day. So checking your email is really important. Hopefully you will be fully aware of all of the due dates because you'll have your syllabus, you'll be on Blackboard regularly. But email is another way that I can keep in touch with you and let you know what's going on. We move at a quick pace. Okay, this is because it is the summer. We are going to move at almost a double pace, which means we're talking about 500 years or so in like 10 weeks. That's a lot. So please prepare yourself for that. Okay, you've got to do some work outside of class. You're going to be reading the textbook. You're going to be reading documents from the Worlds Together, Worlds Apart reader. You will have a couple extra readings online. You've got some videos online and those online assignments. So please prepare and be aware of what is expected of you when you go into planning out what your week is going to look like so that you can get those things turned in. Okay. You have to do the weekly work with the assigned reading and videos. Like it says, Googled answers will be rejected and plagiarized work will be reported. Okay. So please don't plagiarize. Not a fan of it. I have had to fail and report students before. I don't like it. You are all smart, capable people. It is detrimental to you and your education to cheat. And it creates extra work for me because then I got to fill out the forms, all that stuff. So it's just bad all around. Let's not do that, okay? If you do not do the assigned work for that week, you are counted absent. Okay, we can only miss 1 week of class because it is a summer class. It's very short, wee baby summer class. So everything's kind of shrunken in there. So you will get a WD if it's at a certain point. Otherwise, you get a WF. So don't do that. And if you have an issue, like a family member has passed away, or a doctor's appointment, or you have a hospital stay or something, please contact me and let me know what's going on, and we can figure out a way to maybe extend a due date if you have an issue that calls for that. Okay. The Blackboard announcements page, as you'll see when we do the Blackboard tour, that is the landing page. So when you go to Blackboard, when you go to our site, the first page you'll see is the announcements page, and that's where the emails are going to come from. So that announcements page is going to be very up to date with what we are doing and what is due. So check that place first if you have questions, and then you can contact me if you still have questions after that. Student learning outcomes, things you'll be able to do. Analyze modern human history from a global perspective. American history is great. I teach that also. I love it. But global perspective, extremely valuable. We need to know that we are not the center of the universe. There are things going on outside of the U.S. that impact the U.S., how the actions in the U.S. impact other nations. More on that when we get to like the French Revolution and the Haitian Revolution. Really cool stuff. But that global perspective is very important. We're going to talk about significant changes, political, socioeconomic, cultural. We're going to talk about geographical knowledge. You're going to do that, I think, with the geography quiz. I haven't quite hashed out exactly when that's going to fit in, but we will see if we can make that happen. You will definitely have to have geographical knowledge in order to complete the assignments anyway, which, that'll be in your readings. Interactions in different regions, especially Afro-Eurasia and the Americas. More on exactly what Afro-Eurasia is as we get into the class. You'll make comparisons among different global regions regarding political systems, economics, social structure, religious beliefs, and gender roles. These are all really great ways to look at different societies, how they work, how they interact with other societies in the world. Again, that global perspective. We have 2 books for this class. You have the textbook, which is Panorama. You have Volume 2, because you are 112, the second half of the class. And then you have a document reader called Worlds Together, Worlds Apart. That is Volume 2 also, because again, second half of World Civilizations. The document reader is primary documents. Primary documents are things that were written by people who lived during those times. So, for example, you'll read a document by Olympia de Gouges on the French Revolution. She is writing about it, as it's unfolding, things are going on. She's there during the French Revolution. That is a primary document written by someone who was alive during the time. The textbook is a secondary source, which means it's scholars who take those primary documents and they write about the actual overarching story of history with all of that information. So both of those books are required for the class. This class does not use e-text, so you don't have to worry about that. So we're going to begin with China. China is set to lead global exploration and travels throughout the world, and yet they don't. Why not? Well, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about important societal and global questions, like what does freedom mean? What does mainstream history leave out or ignore during this era? And what is the proper relationship between individuals and government? A lot of these questions are still debated today. We're going to explore the complexities of life and cover a range of topics, including Native American ways of life, methods of colonization, the American, French, and Latin American revolutions, the rise of popular politics, and others. So lots of cool stuff. Or at least I think it's cool. I know you're like, Amanda, we totally don't care. How are you going to grade us? Well, let me tell you. Lots of stuff. Participation is 20%. That is a big number. History is all about talking about what happened, analyzing it, critically thinking through it together in an open discussion. That is why participation is 20% of your grade. You will do this discussion by completing discussion boards. Pretty much each week there is a discussion board. If you have a paper that week, there isn't one. If you have an exam that week, there's a shortened one. If you don't have a test or exam, there is a regular length discussion board. These determine your attendance as well, along with the other weekly assignments like a test or a paper. You need to complete the discussion board and comment on at least 2 other students' posts. These are mini papers. There's a discussion board FAQ document in the Welcome to History 112 tab on Blackboard. More on that when we get to our Blackboard tour. Read through that. We'll go through it together in the Blackboard video. And then if you have any questions about how you should do your discussion board after you've read that, then please contact me and we will talk it through. %40 of your grade will be exams. There are 3 online exams consisting of multiple choice and true false. They will be on Blackboard, of course, on weeks 3, 5, and 8. You are not permitted to use notes or readings on these exams. The work you have done on the discussion boards before these exams will significantly help you, so it might be a good idea to review your discussion board answers when you're studying for the exam. Combined, these tests will make up a total of 40% of your grade. Exam 1 is worth 10%. Why would I do that? Well, exam 1 counts for less because you probably have never taken a test with me before. You don't know what to expect. You don't know how the questions are structured, exactly how difficult they may be or how comprehensive they may be. So you might be nervous. You might not exactly know how to prepare properly, even though you study really hard. And maybe you don't quite do as well as you expected just because it is the first test in a new class, in a new discipline for some of you who have never taken a history class. That is why exam 1 is worth 10%. Now, once you've had that first exam and you're more familiar with what's going on, exams 2 and 3 are each worth 15%, so it goes up a little bit. The last 40% of your grade will be papers. You will write 2 papers. Based on course readings, addressing major themes in the course. A couple of the paper, I think the first paper assignment has a couple of additional readings for that subject as well. Papers are due on weeks 2 and 7. These are not research papers. These papers will use course materials and reading assignments that I give you. Do not use Google, do not use history.com, do not use Wikipedia. Please don't use Wikipedia. So you will use course materials only on these papers. They will be submitted on Blackboard and they will run through Safe Assign. Late work. We all have things that happen to us, right? I hope that a tragedy does not befall any of you this summer semester, but it could, just because that's the way life goes sometimes. Discussion board assignments determine attendance and participation, like I mentioned. Late submissions will not be accepted without a documented excuse. Again, that's, a hospital or doctor's note. Maybe your kid had a really bad fever on a Friday evening and you had to rush off to the emergency room. A documentation from that, I could extend a discussion board. A death in the family, documentation from that, maybe a pamphlet from a funeral service, an obituary. I know that might sound kind of gross, but people do tend to abuse the system if I don't require documentation, so we need to require documentation. Papers must be turned in by the due date. If they are late, they are deducted 3 points each day. Day, not class day. Saturdays and Sundays count too. Every single day that they're late. I will not accept any late work after 2 weeks. Tests can be made up with a documented excuse. Again, doctor's note, death in the family, all that kind of stuff. But late test submissions are not possible otherwise. The test closes at the due date and then it disappears, and that is it. So please, again, communication is key. Emailing me, contacting me, letting me know what's going on. I have no psychic powers, so if you are struggling or have an issue or a family emergency, you got to let me know. Otherwise, it just looks like you're not doing the work, and I have had plenty of students who just don't care or want to coast, and so they don't turn in assignments, and, I'm not going to know that you're not like that, right, unless you let me know that something's going on, right? Again, no psychic powers. If you can't tell by now, there's going to be a fair amount of writing in here, especially because we are an online class, so even our discussions are written. This link here goes to the NC State Library, and that is a citation builder, so we'll do parenthetical citations for papers, discussion boards, all that good stuff. And there's a video in the first week on how to cite your sources for the discussion board, so you can check that out too. But we'll be using MLA, so you can plug in your publication information for the textbook or the document reader or whatever you're using, and this citation builder will spit out a citation for you. And that's just one way to make it a little bit easier for you as you document your sources. There is an extra credit opportunity. It's a discussion board that is in the last day of classes folder in the assignments tab on Blackboard. More on that as we get closer. Grades are on a 10-point scale. Yay. The Grade Center is where you're going to be keeping up with your grades, okay? So each assignment has explicit instructions. The primary focus will be the quality of content. This is for papers. This is for discussion boards. Did you answer the question? Did you support your answer or argument with the proper evidence? From class readings, not outside research, class readings. Formatting and mechanics will play a smaller but still important role in my assessment of your writing. And you'll need to see each assignment for specific directions. After you've read the instructions, if you have a question, please feel free to contact me. I tend to have a 2-week turnaround, sometimes less, for papers and tests, those major assignments. It will be within that 2 weeks, though, unless I might have a family emergency. I really hope I don't, but I have an 88-year-old grandmother, so you never know. If something comes up and your grades are going to be delayed by a few days, of course, I will let you know. Again, that's another great reason to check your email. So hopefully nothing will happen to my grandma or anybody else, and everything will be returned within 2 weeks. Discussion boards will be returned within 1 week. I will give you comments with detailed feedback using the feedback options in Blackboard. The discussion board feedback will pare down as we go through the semester. As you get used to what's expected of you, you will get smaller amounts of feedback until finally it will just be a grade. And then if you want feedback, contact me, I'll give you feedback. When reviewing grades in the My Grades section of Blackboard, you can click on any underlined hyperlinked grade to see more details about the grade. When I provide feedback for assignments, you'll find them in this area. I will comment directly on papers as well, so you'll want to make sure that you check that in Blackboard too. Alright, critical success strategies, things that are important for you to do well in the class. I've already mentioned checking email. Please do that. Again, if you take an exam and Blackboard loses it and then you get a 0 on your test, I might email you and be like, hey, you got a 0 on your exam. Was that intentional? And then if you don't check Blackboard and don't check your email, you're not going to know. And then you have a 0 for that exam that you actually took and Blackboard ate it. So checking email is important. Use respectful language to refer to groups, individuals, and fellow students. That's a very important one. Comments and feedback given to fellow students should be constructive. Harassment or inappropriate behavior will not be tolerated. Okay, we're talking about a lot of hot topics. We've got slavery here, we've got revolutions here, we've got, experiences that are happening to women and other minorities, like Native Americans, especially the near genocide of Native peoples. We need to be respectful when we talk about these folks and when we comment on students' posts, okay? Discussion is much stronger, more fruitful when we all talk to each other like we're human beings. So please be respectful. Again, please don't plagiarize. I have a handout in the Welcome tab on Blackboard that says, is this plagiarism? Kind of a little guide for you to make sure you know what plagiarism is. If you have any questions after you've taken a look at that and you're not sure, please just ask me. Okay. Again, additional assistance, please email me. We can do in-person meetings outside of class by appointment, like I mentioned. We are 100% online, so if you are not near campus, we could do like a Skype or a Google Hangout, some other kind of tool like that, so that we can still have a quote face-to-face meeting when we are dealing with whatever issue or concern that you have. Please attend this class so that you do not need to be dropped from this class. We are 100% online, so in order to be attending, you need to participate in the weekly discussion boards and the other weekly assignments. The submission of those weekly assignments counts as your attendance. You need to take the enrollment verification quiz by May 22nd, or you will be dropped from the class. That enrolls you in the class. It's as though if it was a seated class, you showed up to class. So if you don't show up to a seated class by a certain day, the census date, you are automatically unenrolled from the class. So the online classes have the same kind of rule, but you have to complete this online enrollment verification quiz in order to stay in the class. All right. If you miss more than 1 week, if you miss more than 1 week in the course, you'll be dropped. Because again, we're a shorter semester, so we don't have a lot of time. So please be doing that stuff. Again, if those weekly assignments, like a discussion board or whatever, you have a documented excuse, we can sort of delay that and kind of make that a tardy as opposed to an absence. If we extend that for a day or two and then you turn it in a little bit later because you've had an issue that has come up. So please, again, communication is key. Let me know what's going on. Okay. If you are being successful in the class and yet you miss 2 weeks, although that's going to be really hard to do with how quickly we're moving and how much we do assignment and grade-wise in 2 weeks. But if you are doing really well and you accidentally, miss a second week, we can talk about reinstatement. That's going to be a case-by-case basis. You're going to need to contact me about that. Okay. Religious or solemn observance. People have different religious beliefs. We'll even talk about that some this semester. Religion is cool. Beliefs are cool. I respect different people and their beliefs, and I think that that's awesome that you have those. If you have a religious or solemn observance that requires you to miss class, there is a specific form for that, and you need to obtain my approval to miss class at least 2 weeks prior to the date. As long as, it's a legit thing, right? We don't want anybody abusing the system. I am happy to grant that absence to you and excuse that. Again, just get me that form at least 2 weeks prior to the date you'll be absent. Okay. Student concerns, things happen, right? If you have a concern with me or the class or the way I teach the class or anything like that, the first step to resolving the issue is talking to me about it. Okay. Outside of class time. That's an email or, a Skype call or an in-person meeting. It's possible that there's a miscommunication. We are, communicated largely via text, via emails, discussion boards, announcements, things like that, comments and discussion boards. If I say something and you think, it's offensive or upsetting or, maybe, I don't know, something else, tone is not conveyed via text very well. So that could be a miscommunication. But don't just get angry and start contacting all the higher level folks in the college, right? Because it could just be a miscommunication. It could be something that's easily resolved. So please, please, please contact me first and we can work through it. If I owe you an apology, I will apologize to you because I am a human being. The same is reverse. If you are really rude to a student in a discussion board or something like that, I will probably contact you and let you know, hey, the way that this came off, it was not okay. Did you mean it this way? Maybe an apology to your classmate is in order here, that kind of thing. Because we are adults, and adults talk to each other when there's an issue, okay? So please, please, please come to me with any issue that you have. If you feel like the problem is too big to come to me, I have been fortunate enough that I've never had a problem or created a problem of that size. Hopefully I will continue to not have an issue like that. But if the problem is something that you feel like you cannot talk to me about, then you can contact Mr. Gooden here, my department chair. So there's a chart for how to go about this, okay? So faculty first, right? Come to me first. We are adults. We can figure it out, okay? We can communicate and work things out. All right, so that's it for the syllabus. Pretty straightforward. Of course, if you have any questions about any of that after you've read it through yourself, please, please, please contact me and let me know. Again, that email communication is so important. I can help clarify anything for you that you need. So be sure to also check out the Blackboard tour video so that you're familiar with exactly where everything is on our Blackboard site. And again, let me know if you have any questions.